is AEW Unrestricted. I am Will Washington. She is Aubrey Edwards. We are BFFs, and we are talking about all things going on right now. Look, we just had an incredible Blood and Guts that just passed. Blood and Guts is always one of my favorite events of the year. Getting to see that cage in person is like, I know for you it's not.
Buddy.
I mean, look, it's a very stressful match to like put together, like in the sense of having to format the entrances around commercial breaks is something that I don't think people realize is a like massive undertaking. But we've pulled it off.
Dude, giving time cues to wrestlers when you're not inside the cage is really friggin' hard.
Yeah.
Like we're trying to create this mystique of like craziness, right? But it's like, hey, by the way, the next entrance is going to happen in 30 seconds. It's like,
yeah. But here we are. And honestly, it is one of the most chaotic nights in AEW. And I think chaos is like not something that we are strangers to, though. Especially you. Yeah.
I actually wanted to tell you the story. Speaking of chaos, because crazy things happen all the time, right? Like, so there was the episode of Dynamite recently where Samoa Joe was chokeslammed onto a pallet, and then the forklift lifted him, and then he was basically thrown through a wall because apparently when you press a brake on a forklift, the pallet goes flying. Which I was not expecting to see until I saw a Samoa Joe going through the air into a wall, and it was absolutely incredible. But fun little thing that happened after that, because as soon as that happens, chaos is happening. We're trying to figure out what happens. Doc calls the match, which is crazy. And then we start loading Joe up onto the stretcher because he needs to get into the ambulance. So that show is happening in Calgary at the Stampede. So for those that don't know, Stampede is like this 10-day festival that's like a combination of a state fair with rodeo, with AEW, with a bunch of other stuff. Like there's art exhibits, whatnot. It's this gigantic thing. So you have the Saddle Dome kind of in the middle of it all. So we come out of the Saddle Dome, Joe's on the stretcher, they're loading him up into the ambulance to take him away. And off in the distance, I kind of see someone on a golf cart beelining towards us. And as they get closer, it dawns on me that that person is like in official like Calgary Stampede medical garb. And I'm like, oh no, they don't realize this is a television show. And I see Clark from the pre-tape team just like waving his arms at this person trying to stop them.
That's a very Clark thing, yeah.
Very, very Clark thing where he's like, he wants to scream, but he can't because like you got like someone following with the boom mic and everything's going to get picked up in that moment. And I'm just like hoping they don't show up in the frame.
Which is crazy because that's the thing Clark does best is like...
Right?
When he can shout and get everybody quiet in a room, and the fact that he can't do what he does best
He's
there.
Powerless.
Yes.
But yes, luckily we got Joe in the ambulance. The ambulance went away, and then I walk over to the person, I'm like, hi, let me explain what happened. She's like, yeah, no one told me that there was an ambulance transport, so I rushed over to see if I could help. And I'm like, no, we're fine. You know, just a guy going on a pallet through a wall, no big deal. And then to see the look of horror on her face. I'm like, you know what? Just another day at the office. So, you know,
just
chaos.
another day at the office. Yep.
Chaos. Absolutely crazy.
I love it. And you know what? This episode of AEW Unrestricted is more than just another day at the office because we've got a great guest. Who do we have here today?
Today we are joined by someone who is soft to the touch, always in style, and the bread that cannot be toasted. Daddy Magic, Matt Menard. How you doing, buddy?
What's going on? You just read my Twitter bio?
So we read it because like I'm so curious. Like, please explain this. Like soft to the touch, always in style, I get. But the bread that can't be toasted.
Dude, don't think about it too much.
Okay.
The issue with some of the things I say, people think about it too much.
I think that is probably what it is, which is why it's so good that you're on commentary. People think about what you're saying too much.
It's just you just gotta listen. You gotta feel the energy. And just take it in.
Feel the energy.
But
that's
honestly,
actually something. Yeah, go.
I was gonna say, but honestly, that's what makes you work so well on commentary. Is that when you have those types of phrases that identify with people, but they don't exactly know what they mean. I think that's the kind of stuff that goes forward. I remember I had a conversation with Taz a little over a year ago, and and I had told him how much like the phrase "rocket buster" stuck with me, right? Because he used to describe matches that way on commentary. He'd be like, "Oh, this match is a rocket buster, Cole," and
Rocket Buster.
yeah, and like I asked him one day, like, where did that come from? And he was like, I don't know, I heard it in a song, and I just decided I was going to use it on TV. But it didn't like mean anything, and I thought that was great.
Doesn't mean anything, right? What's a slobber knocker? I don't know.
I don't know.
Sounds cool. Sounds great.
Watch, we're gonna start hearing Rocket Buster all of a sudden, like on
That's so
Rampage. Oh, no biggie.
As a Rocket Buster.
But it's great though, because officially you are a part of the Rampage commentary team. And you and I had conversations about this beforehand, before it officially became an official thing. But tell me about it. How's it been so far?
It's been awesome. It's been awesome. It's been awesome to know that like you got that spot there every Friday night at 10 p.m. on TNT. Yeah, that's it. Like, right. Working with Shivani and Excalibur, typically, depending on when we tape that show, right? Because sometimes we'll tape it on the Saturday night for the prior week, and that when that happens, the team will change. But it's been awesome. It's been awesome. It's I've always had like a passion for commentary and announcing ever since I was a kid, and so to be able to do that now on a full-time basis it's the best. It's the absolute best.
So you said you had that like passion for it since you were a kid. Like, where did that come from?
Yeah. Just watching sports, I think. Just watching sports. There's something about an announcer, a commentator who can take a moment and just make it memorable and make it last and make it just burned into your memory. Growing up watching Hockey Night in Canada, every Saturday night, there's an announcer named Bob Cole who unfortunately just passed away, I don't know, 3-4 months ago, maybe at most.
It was really recently.
Yeah. It really wasn't that long ago. And he just has such a voice that I could hear it right now. And I could do an impression, but I'll spare you. An old friend, El Generico, could do one hell of a Bob Cole impression.
I heard he's down in Mexico with the orphans.
It's the same thing with somebody like Jim Ross. Everybody can do a JR impression. And I think there's something to that, like that voice that it just cements it. It just hammers it home. The moment that's happening in front of you just gets hammered home by the announcer.
Is the goal one day that there is a Daddy Magic impersonation, that when people think of you on commentary, they can do a Daddy Magic voice and they can officially imitate you and imitate your isms?
Well, I'll tell you what, I think that goes around the locker room already. I think everybody has a Daddy Magic impression.
Yeah.
I think Tony does a Daddy Magic impression from what I've heard. Yes.
You gotta have
everybody's got one. That right? Is true that everybody at work has one. I think the goal, like
doesn't
one
mean
day,
good. Doesn't mean it's good.
It is great though. That is the one. When everybody talks, you gotta have the hands. That is the
hands are key.
Yeah.
Get out of here! But everybody's a comedian. Everybody's a comedian.
If you're not watching the video version of this podcast, you're really missing out because we're just doing a lot of hand gestures right now. But that's that's one of the things I love about talking with you, just even behind the scenes, is like when we first met, I'm like, man, this guy's like a freaking cartoon character on TV, right? Like, but no, that's him in real life. It's incredible. Yeah. And there's that saying in wrestling that like your character on TV is you just turned up to 11, but I don't think, I think you are just default at 11. Like that's your standard.
when I walk into work, I'm work. The second I walk through the doors, I'm working.
Right. Exactly.
To an extent, for sure. I don't know. I don't know if I'm that guy at home all the time, because that would wear a bit thin, I think, but
Speaking of home, we were talking about this before we started. The last time we had you on, it was either like right before or right after you had your son Jack. And if you spend 5 minutes with you start talking about how much you love your son Jack and how great he is. And I've heard stories and he's awesome. He actually popped by before Will showed up and waved and showed us some stickers. He was a super cute kid. How has life been now that you're the father of a toddler when you're on the road all the time?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough on I don't want to say it's tough. I shouldn't say it's very easy on me. My lovely wife Stacy, who deals with this monster 24/7. It can get hard on her, especially the last, I would say, since November. I might be, and somebody could correct me if they can, I might be the only talent who's been doing both shows every single week. So
Holy
I'm gone.
shit.
I've been gone quite a bit. And it's it can
I
be
have
challenging
noticed
for
that it's basically whenever I go to both Dynamite and Collision, it's usually I think it's like you and maybe like Sky Blue. I see at like every show.
You're right. Sky Blue is there quite a bit at both shows for sure. And there are talent that come and go and do both in a week. You know what I mean? For sure. But it can get tough, especially at home. Like today, he just decided, yeah, I'm not gonna nap. I'm not gonna nap. I'm not napping today. I mean, Will, you could speak to it. You have children. It's like, dude, we like those 2 hours in the afternoon when he naps, they're everything. And when I guess it's
when they decide they don't want them anymore, it's like
it's just like we're just trying to wrap our head around how are we going to deal without having those 2 hours, you know?
Yeah, it's like
we're just it's going to happen. It's soon. It's coming.
Those toddler days are like the days I miss the most. Those are those days where like when it was fun teaching them things, and just wait till the day that they decide to start teaching you things, and you're just like, what is happening here?
Oh, he does that. He'll do something like I'll explain something to him, and then 5 seconds later he'll try to explain it to me. It's like, didn't I just tell you how to do this? What are you doing? Like we were filling up gas the other day, and I'm teaching him how to fill up gas in the car, and then he tries to explain to me, "Oh no, you take the gun," and it's like, what? It's something. It is something.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
and honestly, the best days are still ahead. I will tell you that the best days still ahead. So, talking up a little bit more about the commentary spot. So, of course, Rampage really was known for Chris Jericho having had that spot for a very, very long time. He was really there from the very beginning of Rampage, which really stemmed out of his commentary spot during the pandemic. And so you really got to take the spot from Chris Jericho. Did he have any advice for you or any words for you as you guys were essentially crossing ships?
Just be yourself, you know. Just be yourself. Do what you're doing. I'd already been doing it for quite a while, you know. I started on Dark Elevation. I did that for just about a year, I would say, or like 8 months, 9 months. I'd say from August until April. I think with a number of different partners. I think like Ian, Excalibur, Tony would jump in. Big Show. Paul White, obviously. So it was just be yourself. Just be yourself. Have fun. Some of the best advice I ever received was if you're having fun, the audience is going to be having fun. And I always try to remember that, you know, just make sure you're having a good time. Because even if you you call a move wrong, or I mean, it's not my job to call the moves, but like if you mess up, if your words aren't right or something, but as long as your energy is that of somebody who's having a good time, that will translate to the audience at home, you know. And I think that is what I took away from Chris's commentary for sure, no doubt about it. You know,
so you mentioned a lot of really awesome names there with Paul and Ian and Tony and Chris and everybody, right? And having kind of your footing on Dark Elevation with Paul White for a bit, what would you say was the biggest change, or maybe the thing that surprised you most, going from something like Dark Elevation to Rampage?
Oh man, so the toughest part about it, I think, is one. Elevation was a YouTube show. So you automatically, like, it wasn't network or cable television. It wasn't live. So there was always it was almost more laid back, I would say. There was a lot less almost pressure. Like I felt and what was so great about it being a new commentator announcer was I could grow and I could experiment and I could take a risk, and if I somehow messed up or something didn't work, or it was okay, it didn't matter. It was not that it didn't matter, but that's where you do it. That's where you make your mistake. You know what I mean? I think it's the same thing for the I want to say for the wrestlers, right? Like they could experiment in that scenario, and I think almost maybe so I wish we could get that back somehow. You know what I mean? A place where we could just make mistakes and it's okay and experiment and try something new. There was something really fun about that, I think. But moving to Rampage, obviously the pressure goes up, right? And the pressure goes up. You're working with the top announcers, Tony Schiavone, Excalibur. The real fun though is when we did some of those live rampages, like right after Dynamite, right? We would do these 3-hour blocks. We would have Dynamite going right into Rampage on Wednesday nights, or sometimes we did on Saturday. Collision right into Rampage at 10 p.m., you know? And whoo, that you feel I get goosebumps just thinking about it. That's fun, man. No net. Oh boy, what's Daddy Magic going to say? I don't know. I don't even know what I'm going to say. Tune in to find out.
I believe that.
Yes,
no, honestly, I'm a big fan of those. I am genuinely a big fan of those blocks, and so like, and it's great because giving the Wednesday audience kind of a taste of what they might be missing on Fridays, I think is always great, and I think that getting to do that live, and I think for the audience to not fully understand, or who that maybe doesn't understand what you mean by, you know, because both are essentially tape shows, Rampage and Elevation, but or Elevation at the time. But I think the structure of them is so much different, right? You didn't have to deal with commercial breaks. You didn't have to deal with the picture-in-picture and having to change essentially the cadence of what you're doing during the picture-in-picture, anything like that. Like it truly is a fully different experience, but one where you really could cut your teeth.
So to your point, yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. Like just dealing with the commercial breaks or having like Elevation, there's nobody talking in your ear. You're not really being produced by anybody, right? It's just kind of do your thing. But then when you come to the television, yeah, there's somebody in your ear telling you, counting you down. Try like just think about it. You have headphones on and somebody's talking to you, and you're. This was a real lesson. Like oh, somebody's talking to you, but you're supposed to keep talking as you're here getting the instructions. It's so insane. It's so insane. So to train that muscle is, that took some getting used to. I remember doing I think I've only done one, like B-roll, right? So they'll play a clip of, let's take it back to Wednesday night. Here's what happened. And you kind of like commentate the clip. Well, I'm getting counted down in my head. I had planned kind of what I had wanted to say for the B-roll clip, but I didn't realize I'd be getting counted down. So when I started getting counted down, I just started to listen to Mansouri, who was talking. You know, oh no, you're supposed to be talking, Matt. Keep talking.
It's so like I know exactly what you're talking about because I'll get counted down into break in my headset as I'm in the ring, but I'm telling someone like, hey, get out of the corner. And I'm trying to like, hey, get out of the 5, 4, 3. And I'm trying not to say the thing that they're telling me while still like changing volumes. It's so, oh man, for people that don't understand, that is like one of the most stressful parts of the job is like processing information.
And the hard part is being on the other side of that, where like if I'm producing a segment or if I'm just sitting and go with Tony and literally, having to like, get a note to commentary or something along those lines where it's like, hey, make sure you bring this up. But you guys are literally talking in that moment. And it's like, I don't want to disrupt what you're saying, but I got to get this point to you guys. And so it's little things like that where like, I feel really bad because I don't know what it's like to receive that, but I know what it's like to have to give it to you guys.
I remember like TK would say something and I'm just like, so to your point, like we're in the moment talking about what's happening and he'll make a comment like, oh, get this in about what's happening right now. But then, okay, so let's say the other Tony's talking. I'm just like, do I just cut him off and say what TK was saying? Like, and then the moment's kind of gone. So you got to figure a way to like bring it back in.
Oh yeah.
It's been awesome. It's been an awesome learning experience, and that is the major difference from doing Dark Elevation or Rampage Collision, especially the live shows, your Dynamites and your Collisions for sure.
This has already been a completely just like eye-opening conversation, just talking to you about this stuff. And we've got more coming up here on AEW Unrestricted.
AEW Unrestricted. It's Will Washington. It's Aubrey Edwards. But most importantly, we're talking with our guest, Daddy Magic, Matt Menard. Speaking of which, actually, it's a good point to bring up here because Daddy Magic was really something that was born to the audience out of the Jericho Appreciation Society.
So good.
And really that was where people truly got to know, I think, the personality that is Daddy Magic. That I think people were really kind of familiar with 2.0 as a tag team as you guys came in, and then you guys with Daniel Garcia as a trio. But really it was that kind of shift with the JAS where all of a sudden people got to learn what makes Daddy Magic's nipples hard. And so... which is not a statement I never thought I'd make on a podcast, but all of a sudden I get to. So first off, how did that all come about? How was the approach made for you to officially join Jericho?
So we'd kind of had a little bit of a mini feud, I'd say, with Chris and Eddie Kingston. It was all kind of tied in there at the end of 2021, early 2022.
Wow. Yeah.
I remember. Yeah, it really was a long time ago. And Chris and I will still talk about it to this day. Actually, every time we're in the wind trust, he'll go, "This is where you smashed me with that chair." We did like a backstage interview where we interrupted Chris, and he's like, he tells me, he goes, "Make sure you bring it." And I go, "All right." So
that was like late 21, November 21, was that?
Yeah, it was Thanksgiving or the week after Thanksgiving,
Yep.
November 2021. Yeah, I just smashed him in the face as hard as I could, and then we had to do a second take because
No.
Yeah, because there was like a boom mic hanging in the shot, and they wanted to be clean.
Damn it, George.
Yes, Chris got so mad. You don't want to piss Chris off,
No.
So we had to do it again, and the second one was a little lighter. But
was he still red faced at the top of it though? It's like one of those things where
he's furious.
Having already taken that shot.
He was furious.
I know that feeling though. I absolutely know that feeling of you think everything went absolutely perfect, and then all of a sudden you go back and rewatch it, and you see literally anything could happen, right? There's something will sneak into the background,
a shadow,
a talent that shouldn't have been in the shot walked by. Yeah, but
to me, I would have just left it there. It's fine. We're just we interrupted an interview. It was a whole thing. It's chaos. Leave the boom mic. It doesn't have to be clean. It's fine, guys. But so moving from doing that little feud, with Chris, and then I think he was looking to make a switch. I think he was looking to get out of Inner Circle. He had felt like that had run its course, and then it's he wants to have something on the table for what's next, and he chose us. He literally just chose us. I say this all the time to some of the younger guys. You have to put yourself in a position to be successful and in a position to get lucky. Sometimes you just have to get lucky. You have to get a break. You have to be chosen. And this was very much one of those instances where we got chosen to be a part of this, and man, I owe a lot. I owe a lot to Chris for choosing us for that spot, for Tony Khan, for letting Chris run with it, and it changed my life. It really did. It really did. I can't remember the question, but I could go on about Chris forever,
Well, it's interesting because, like I said, it was really what put you on the map for a lot of fans. And I think that even just having your voice be the first thing everybody heard in the intro, right? I feel like that,
right.
Whenever you guys got to enter to the ring, you were the first voice people heard. And all of a sudden, I feel like that really established your identity with the AEW fans.
It's fun. It's funny, those. So to your point before earlier, you had mentioned being part of 2.0 with the tag team with Jeff Parker at the time. Being in a group of 4 or 5 or 6 guys that ended up being 8 at the end, it sounds crazy, but it allowed me to be more of an individual where people could see me. Just
how you stand out
for me. Right. Exactly. So I was able to show a little bit more personality and a little bit of more who I am. And that was a real blessing of the JAS. It really was. And so about the nipples, about the you want to know what makes Daddy Magic's nipples hard?
I do.
I will never forget. We did I don't know if it was a celebration or, Chris always loves these segments, right? These celebratory segments. I can't remember what the heck we were celebrating, but it was something. Maybe we destroyed Eddie Kingston. I don't know. But we had a podium. I think it was in Long Island. I think it was in April of 2022. We're in Long Island. And I wanted to say, what was my line? Do you want to know what turns Daddy Magic on, or do you want to know what turns me on? That was the line I wanted to use. And in the afternoon, Chris just kind of blasé, oh, this is what I'm going to say, Chris. And he goes, all right, well, why don't you say, so what makes Daddy Magic's nipples hard? But he just kind of said it like he wasn't serious. You know what I mean? I didn't think he was being serious with what he said. And then right before we go out, I'm going over it. We're kind of walking through it, and I say, well, this is where I'm going to say, do you want to know what turns me on? He goes, no. You're going to say, do you want to know what makes my nipples hard? I said, no, I'm going to say what turns me on. And we kind of had a little bit of an argument, but
right.
Well, who am I? Who the hell am I to be arguing with Chris Jericho? And then Jake Hager steps in and he goes, well, why don't you say both? Okay, so I said both, and the nipples line got way more of a reaction, just a way bigger reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. And then so I text Chris afterwards. I go, yeah, all right, you were right, Chris. And he goes, yeah, maybe I know something, Matt.
Maybe he knows a thing or two about catchphrases.
Yeah, maybe he does, and he could not have been more right. He, man, that people love that thing. To this day, every time I tweet something, I can't, look at my mentions without having a nipples reference there.
It's interesting because I was recently going over all of the Blood and Guts matches for obvious other work reasons, but I was thinking about the what was the second Blood and Guts match in 2022. Yeah. And again, we got to see a real personality and almost comedic side of you guys. But then coming out of Blood and Guts, we really got to see some intensity coming out of you specifically. And I remember a promo you had done for Social that really, really got over. So I wanted to ask about that experience, and all of a sudden you guys getting pulled into this main event story with the JAS, with the BCC, with everything that was going on at that point. With, as a matter of fact, this story I don't think I've ever told you, with Anarchy in the Arena, very specifically, my wife and I were in the crowd for the first Anarchy in the Arena.
Oh no, don't tell me I bled on you.
You did, all over her foot. And she had flip-flops on too, so it was like her bare foot, and she got Daddy Magic's blood all over her. And then
you tell your wife I'm sorry. I apologize.
This is the best part, though. So she goes into the restroom to wash her foot off. And I guess by that point, you guys had made your way into the lobby. And then so she opens the door. You guys are brawling right in front of the restroom door.
She can't escape it.
She's like, I can't escape this.
The second you said I have an Anarchy in the Arena story with my wife, I knew that's where it was going. I knew that it was going to be that I bled on her.
Yep.
I take full credit for us not being allowed to bleed in the crowd anymore at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas.
What a time that was, though. Honestly, that was an experience. That was an experience to just be there and I thought that was one of the coolest experiences I ever had, genuinely, just watching professional wrestling. But then, like I said, you had kind of two major moments there. You got to have Anarchy in the Arena, and then immediately following that, you got to do Blood and Guts, and that was really like a big step into the main event scene for you specifically. Talk to me a little bit about that time.
Yeah, no, that was huge. Those two matches, man, those huge main event matches. I'll call Anarchy in the Arena a main event of a pay-per-view, even though it didn't go on last. I think it was definitely a selling point.
It should have.
Right. It was definitely a selling point of that show. And then Blood and Guts the next month in Detroit, over 10,000 tickets sold on Dynamite, over 1 million watching. It was awesome. It was awesome to be a part of that, to be in the ring with all those guys, and in that moment, like how many world champions are in that match? Are in these matches, right? You got Chris, you got Brian, you got Moxley. Just a huge match, guys, and to be a part of that was just very special. To be bleeding, there's just something about bleeding and sweating and just being at the point of exhaustion in front of all these people. Just that's what it's all about right there. It's everything you live for, man. It is everything you live for. And then to cut the promo afterwards, I think is what the question was about, right? Is just, man. So that Blood and Guts promo. So my son, Jack, who Aubrey, you just saw, was about to be 3 years old. He was 10 months old at that time. He had just turned about 10 months, and he'd just taken his first steps walking, literally. I missed his
quite
first.
Literally. We were at the rehearsal for Blood and
right,
Guts the night before,
yeah.
and you were showing people on your phone, look, Jack's walking, and we were all really excited about it. But I don't think the gravity of that moment hit me until you did your promo.
Yeah. And it just, I don't think the moment hit. I don't think it hit me until I did the promo. You know what I mean? Because it's just like, oh yeah, I'll see him walk when I get home. I'll see him walk for the rest of my life. And then there was something about, man, finishing that match. And I had hurt my shoulder. I had torn my my labrum and my rotator cuff, and I knew it. I knew something was wrong. And we're in the middle of this the biggest push of our lives, right? At that time, and to be in these matches, there's just so much emotion, just bleeding in that moment. Knowing I was hurt, being as exhausted I was after the main events, and then they put a camera in front of you, and there's just no plan of what you're going to say, no goal, we're building towards nothing, just pure raw, just what are you feeling right now? And that was it. That is just what came out, and then tears started flowing, and it was that was literally as real as it gets right there. That was as real as it gets. And it was nice to be able to communicate my feelings, right? Because you never know if that's going to come out well. I think I was able to do that, and a credit to the team in Nashville who put together an incredible package. With they had the music and the cuts and showing your face bleeding and the moves from the match and this and that. And they did it just an absolute beautiful job with that. Sometimes I miss those road twos. You remember those?
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So yeah. No, I do. I think it was definitely one of my favorite series for getting people into any particular angle or just coming out of a match. Those were always really good, really excellent stuff.
It's like just for the boys, there's an opportunity there to share your story, and just tell people what you're about. Man, yeah, I love it.
Always great. Yeah, always great. And this is always great conversation with Daddy Magic Matt Menard. And we've got so much more to go right here. This is AEW Unrestricted. We've got more after this.
Unrestricted.
AEW Unrestricted, Aubrey and Will with Daddy Magic, Matt Menard. Question whether or not his nipples are hard right now. I'm going to say yes, maybe.
Are they hard? Oh, yeah, they're hard. They're a little hard. We've got the AC going here at home.
It's a little breeze down there. Oh, God. I had a whole plan for how I was going to open this, and it just went out the rails. Oh, my God. Anyway, I actually want to chat. Yeah. What question? What is this, a podcast? So the last time we had you on, it was you and at the time, Jeff Parker, now Angela Parker, Cool Hand Ange, who has since, gone on to meet his new wife, and he's expecting a baby soon. And it's so wonderful. Like, they're being first time parents. What is that like for you to kind of having gone through that recently, like on the road with everything that has happened, to see one of your childhood best friends kind of experiencing all of this for the first time?
Yeah, no, it's very exciting. I'm excited for him. I'm happy for Ruby. I'm happy for Jeff's mother to finally become a grandmother. Like, that is something that's very exciting. It's awesome. I think it's I don't know. Part of me feels like that's what we're put on this earth to do, right? To procreate and I don't know. It's something very unique, and I'm happy for him that he's going to get to experience that. It's going to be awesome, and it has its challenges, and I don't know how they're going to do it with both of them being wrestlers. Like, that is something that I never. Yeah, I didn't have to deal with that. I see Sammy and Tay are about to kind of embark on that journey themselves, right? Because Luna is 10 months or so, 8 months old now, and Tay is just about ready to come back, I think. So, yeah, they're going to have to deal with that too. And that's why that is something I don't have to deal with. That's a whole nother level, I think, right? When mommy is also a wrestler. That's wild. Oh, Lord. Yeah. Yeah. Hats off to them. And you mothers are saints. Mothers are saints. No question about it.
I wanted to talk a little bit about the story that unfolded on screen with Ruby and Jeff in that. Yeah. It's very specifically because, I was obviously a part of all of that coming together and the story in itself. And I remember when the idea initially, because it was one of those things where, like, nobody knew about them as a couple outside, right? It was like a thing.
Dude, I found out like 3 months later. Like, they just hung out together all the time, and then one day they were dating. I was like, what?
I found out I found out my second day on the job. But
you always find out shit before me, so that makes total sense.
It had to have been my second day on the job because I think I was in what city would we have been? Yeah, it was Detroit. Detroit was where I found that out, Little Caesars Arena, and so but it was one of those things that I was like, that is nowhere on the internet, nowhere on.
Nope.
And so what I loved about that is that when we turned it into a story on TV. What was great was when, of course, the announcement of Ruby's pregnancy came out, all the internet fans were like, wow, they really turned an angle into real life. And it was like, no, it was completely the other way around. Like this.
Yeah. It's wild. Like it seamlessly happened, you know? I mean, yeah, nobody knew. They kept it probably the way that it should be done, you know? You got to keep that thing under wraps, make sure. I don't know, you know? I can't really speak to it. You have to ask him about it, you know?
Yeah. You're going to have to have him on then.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I especially want to talk to them after the. But I wanted to talk specifically about your involvement in the story, because as it went on, you were not. Daddy Magic was not happy with any of these happenings. Daddy Magic did not want to see his friend.
Daddy Magic, he doesn't like change. I don't like change. You know, I go to the restaurant. They always order the same thing. And it's very much the same way in my life with partners. I don't like the change, guys. You know what I mean? You ruffle the feathers. Who knows what's going to happen now? You throw a woman in the mix. You throw a baby in the mix. Now life's getting crazy. You know, baby gets sick. The wife gets sick. Now he has other priorities. I want to be the priority. I think you know, what was Daddy Magic, the character, right? It was where his head was. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And of course, it led to some great interactions between you and Saraya, some great facial expressions between you guys. We
did that one backstage. What do you call it? Vignette or promo or whatever pre-tape. God, where were we? On the West Coast, maybe Oakland. I want to say we were in Oakland. Anyway, where. And we just ended up looking at each other and like it just felt this magic. Like I wish we could have like explored that more. You know what I mean? And maybe we will in the future. But God, I loved working with Saraya for sure.
Yeah, I loved sort of this whole thing, and it kind of like it's odd because I don't think the finish of sort of the storyline happened the way that everyone wanted, because it's like, well, one of the key people literally cannot physically wrestle for a while, so maybe we have to put a little pause on it.
Getting pregnant threw a wrench in the plans, I'd say.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those like, well, is this actually the best thing for the story, but kind of the worst thing for the story?
That's right.
Like we definitely had like a much longer term payoff for this.
That is life. That is how things go down, right?
That's how like the same thing happens with wrestling, right? Like sometimes people get injured, they have to go off TV for a bit. Like so many unpredictable things happen. You just never expect it to be like, oh, the two people that were legitimately in a storyline about falling in love with each other fell in love. Now they had a baby.
Right? That's just life. You just got to roll with the punches, man. That's the beautiful thing about wrestling. You just roll with it. Man. This is live TV every week. What are we doing? 5 hours every single week? You know, not everything's going to be perfect. Like you said, people get hurt, people get pregnant. Hey, here we go.
That's just how it is.
That's what it is.
So you had mentioned in the last segment, sort of like even just blood and guts, looking at all like the different champions that were all in the ring at the same time, like Anarchy in the Arena, like Chris Jericho, all these guys who have been like huge legends. You also had the opportunity to work with Sting and Darby with a Texas Tornado match back in 2021, which is crazy.
Yeah,
Houston. That was Sting's first TV match. So of course Sting had only wrestled on pay-per-view at that point, and that was the first time Sting had competed in a TV match, and that had to have been a huge honor for you guys.
It was so well. And call me crazy, I think it's the only match that Sting has done since like he came back where he wasn't wearing a t-shirt. Like this guy was ready to go that night. He wore like the what do you call it?
The singlet.
The singlet?
Yeah, the singlet, right? The classic Stinger singlet. He was tanned, on point, looked unbelievable, jacked, confident. He was so ready to go that night. Oh, God, do I love that match. That match, I mean, I think God helped get us our full-time jobs, honestly, you know, at the end of the day. Just very, very special. He was ready to go. I remember at one point, Sting is just raining punches down on me, and the crowd's counting along, and I'm just like, oh, God, this is how wrestling's supposed to be, right? The big star and everybody loves him and you're bumping for him. It's just so easy. It's supposed to be easy. It's not supposed to be hard, you know? And it was a real eye-opening experience to be in there with a guy the caliber of Sting and Darby. My God, what a psycho this guy is.
That had to have been really special, too, just thinking about how that was only a month back on the road. That was only a month after
that's right.
doing
Coming
shows
out of
with no
COVID.
fans for so long. Yeah.
Yeah.
So hearing that
certainly
crowd
was.
reaction, hearing everybody going nuts for the punches, and I remember like I was watching at home, and I got out of my seat when Sting, literally after he gets up after the table spot, and
He does.
the chest, amazing.
Crazy.
And-
What a crazy.
So to bring it back to commentary, he gets up from the table spot. We turn around, Darby drop kicks us, and he snatches us both. And like for the double slop drop, the double scorpion death drop, and Tony Schiavone just yells, "What's he yell? He yells something, double scorpion death drop, come on baby!" But the "come on baby" is just like etched in my brain, It's just this moment that he adds on top of it with his commentary, and that's not planned. That is just something of 30 years of experience in the moment. What he just felt it and he said it, and it worked. It was beautiful.
You kind of said that early on that like just these moments in time are sort of like made by the commentary along with them. So with that sort of statement of the Tony Schiavone saying, "Come on, baby," is there any sort of like, do you approach wrestling different now that you do commentary as frequently as you do?
It's funny that you asked that. It certainly made me more aware of how much power a commentator has as far as telling the story. And so sometimes in the middle, I'll be calling a match. I'm like, "Oh, guys, can we slow down? Can we slow down here? Because we want to tell these certain story points that we want to convey to the audience that will help everybody." And sometimes you just can't because the action is just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So there's never a breath for the commentators to have a little conversation to put over the story. So that definitely opened my eyes and I think helped me approach matches a little bit differently. Absolutely. Like, oh, if we take a breath here, the commentators could say this, and this.
I didn't even think about it that way, but yeah, kind of like adding pacing for commentary in your matches.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. So been very blessed in that light,
That's a really interesting thought. I never even considered that.
It's almost like how we always tell wrestlers, like, take the time to sell. It's like, that's the opportunity for you guys to kind of like say stuff, right?
When you're selling, in those moments where you're selling, the announcers are talking. And they're talking about what you're selling or maybe whatever the story was building up to the match, And that just helps the audience at home understand everything that's happening.
Even more of a reason for these damn kids to slow down.
Look, I don't want to be that guy. Please do everything.
Oh, I'll be that guy for you.
Well, that begs the question, kind of bringing it full circle, and I think kind of putting an exclamation point on this podcast. When it's all said and done, when you have moved on from commentary, and I hope that's a very, very, very long time from now.
Forever ago.
How, if this podcast can be something that you look back on at the beginning of essentially of your commentary career, how do you feel you want to be remembered as a commentator?
As a commentator, the greatest color guy to ever do it. I don't think there's any question like in my mind. If I get an opportunity to do this for 20, 25 years, I'll be the greatest. Don't play this for Taz, please. Be the greatest to ever do it. Yeah. I mean, that's my goal. That's my goal, no question. And I'll take everything that all those guys that have taught me, man. Taz, JR, Schiavone, Excalibur, everybody, man. They've all kind of taken me under their wing in their own ways, even though they won't admit it. They'll never admit it, and they still won't let me in the announcer's room.
It's their space.
Yeah, they're always they've been really good to me. They've been really, really good to me.
Of course. It's been awesome to see you grow in your commentary role. It's been awesome to see you in all of your various different tracksuits that you wear at work. One of my favorite things every week is seeing what tracksuit Daddy Magic wore on the plane. It's so incredible having the time to talk with you today and to see you at this point in your career. And absolutely, I 100% believe you will be considered one of those guys like way down the line. Matt Menard was the voice of my generation. Like people will say that about you is the same way they say it about Tony Schiavone and Excalibur and all these other guys. So no pressure.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that's the goal, man. The voice of a generation. That's a wild thought to think about. But yeah, that's the goal.
Wild thought, but it's definitely feasible. You could do it, man. Yeah. You're killing it. I love it.
Thank you, guys.
And I think you'll be the one to do it. You know, I've had this conversation with you privately, and I'm a big believer in Daddy Magic as a commentator, and I definitely want to make sure I get that point out there publicly as well.
Yes.
Thank you.
We knew before everyone else did. That's it. We're gonna make sure we knew. So when people go back and go, who saw this happening? It's like there is an actual recorded effort, like evidence that this happened. Anyway, thank you for being here today, Matt. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We have new episodes of AEW Unrestricted every Thursday on all of your favorite podcast platforms. You can tune into the video versions typically the next week after. You can see us all make a lot of hand gestures as we're trying to do our Matt Menard impression. Yes, a lot of emphasis on the words with the hands. You can watch Dynamite on TBS on Wednesdays. You can listen to this man in his beautiful voice. Fridays, Rampage, TNT. You can watch Collision Saturdays on TNT, and you can watch Ring of Honor on Honor Club every Thursday. I am Aubrey Edwards with Will Washington. We talked to Matt Menard, Daddy Magic, here on AEW Unrestricted. Thank you for listening, everybody.